I can always edit
Okay,
this
now
out.
we're definitely recording.
Yeah, and so then I just move this down until we can't see it. Look, see? And now we can't see each other. And now nobody cares. All of this can be edited out. That's what I've really noticed, and like has really empowered me, is like I've totally forgotten the power of editing. Every time I used to hit play, I was like, oh well, I have nothing. Like every time I'm like, okay, I got water done, I'm all set up, start recording. Damn it. And I'd sit there for a minute and I'd go, I can edit any of this out. No, you can't. It's live. They can see you. Hello. Goodbye. Hello. Good. Quit saying hello and goodbye. But, you know, I digress from there.
Oh, God.
The old guard or old guard. That's how... You have to say it like that because you can't search the old guard. You'll never find it. But if you search old guard, that's why the is in little letters. I'll put the title sequence in there somewhere.
Son of a bitch.
I'll just throw it. A scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, God. Especially for 2020, it's a 10 for me.
Yeah, that movie was really... I've seen it a few times. Okay, let's start with the question that I had throughout. Favorite character?
Oh, shit.
I know.
That's not a fair question. It's really not a fair question because there's so many. Yeah. You like all of them.
The whole team, the 5, you definitely all the way through.
Favorite dynamic is definitely the gay couple.
Nikki and Joey's.
They are
not only like them individually, them as a couple
are perfect.
Their storyline,
it's so good.
Their differences. Like what's best about their relationship is that they started it off hating each other and killing each other
multiple.
Who knows how many? I mean, if they were fighting during the Crusades, they don't just wake up alive and go, "Oh no!" They probably like
again.
Like you again. So I got like when I first watched it though. I know this is only your first time watching it. I've seen it a few times. No. The first time I watched it, Booker was absolutely my favorite.
Booker's a great character.
All
of it makes sense.
Then I liked him.
All of it made sense.
Then and you know, I'll just
spoiler warning.
Oh yeah, I never follow any path. If you've watched any of these, I go right to the end
and then backtrack.
Sometimes
and then go to the beginning, and then go to an entirely different film.
I think when we talked about Spiderman, I jumped to the end credits before I was like, yeah. But did you see the end after the movie was over? We haven't even started.
We'll not even talk about the rest of the movie. Just those last 2 minutes.
They were like 2 movies at the end of the Spider-Man Far From Home. And those 2 end credit scenes. You know it, I know it, you were there, we were there.
What was the first end credit
When the first one was when like they revealed who Peter Parker was. Like they have like footage of him like taking off the mask.
with Jameson.
Yeah, with Jameson.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the other one is what's his face isn't there. Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh,
he's like up in a spaceship, like watching TV.
No, he's not even watching it. He's in that huge
like
virtual thing.
Yeah. So, all right, back to the old yard.
Oh God,
So Booker was my favorite. Then like he betrayed everybody, and then even though like he had a very good, like it was a very good like redemption from that betrayal, and the betrayal made absolute sense.
Everything about it made sense.
He has been,
and that's what's so weird is because I'm going through the movie, I'm going through it, and I'm going, is it one of the gay guys who set them up? Because remember when they're watching him in the sniper's nest,
and he kind of goes,
sees
"Hey."
them. And there's that smile, right?
Because at first I was like, how do you see, like, if they're this good, you're not just gonna look up and see a sniper, right? Right. So I get what you're saying.
So at first I'm going like, okay, is that the betrayal? And then once, because I was assuming there was gonna wind up being a betrayal at some point.
There with a team that good,
but yeah, exactly. But when I realized it couldn't be him was when I realized that they were a couple.
Oh,
it made absolutely no sense for him to be the
with what if their relationship was like any weaker or like the connection was, or we saw the connection breaking at any moment, like maybe, but even then, like they were so strong from the moment you saw them. You like, even if you didn't know they were a couple, you can still like the other two meet them.
They're a family.
They've never left each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, they've like, even when you first meet them, they're together. Yep. So like, even if you don't know like they're in a relationship, you can clearly tell like these two have a connection.
Well, and these two are, they wind up being a couple, but they're either that or they're brothers. They've gone through so much that they are blood, brothers, period. And nothing's going to break that. So as soon as their relationship was shown, I was like, okay, it's not him.
They have a TV joke.
That whole scene. Oh my god, there were so many good scenes. So many good scenes.
What did you think of the immortal aspect? Because it was way different.
It was used so well.
Yeah,
it was used so well, and in a way that has been shown before, but not to the extent of this one. Do you understand what I mean? Because they have shown that type of going throughout history and doing good.
Even
Wolverine
quote unquote had
exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
It's like they've shown people going throughout history and doing stuff like that. But when you learn what she's done,
yeah.
Oh my god, that hit me so hard because I was so surprised too with how hard that hit me, because it was sad seeing her cynical side, but it was understandable. Her cynical side was completely understandable, but at the same time, I'm also listening to it and I'm going like, okay, I understand. But you've forgotten your own mission. You've forgotten the reason you did it in the first place. And it's never a mistake to do good.
No.
And that's what she had all of a sudden come to.
Yeah.
Remember? Is that she believed it was a mistake to do good,
and it didn't matter.
Exactly. For so, quote unquote, the world has been worse. No, what's been happening in the world has been people have gone solely off emotion. Now, can you get rid of emotion? No. You can't disregard emotion when you're making decisions, but you also can't disregard your mind either. It has to be a choice of the two together. And that was the problem, is that she was, for a very long time, that's where she was.
Yeah.
She had the mix of the emotion aspect of it, doing good, and the mentality of it of doing good will lead to more good.
Right.
So for the longest time she had that, and it's somewhere she lost both, actually, I felt. She still kind of had the emotion because she still wanted to do good, but the mentality of that disappeared because her mental state went to, it does not no longer do good past that point.
Yeah, the only focus she had was, her team. Like, she clearly they were a family and missed aspects of that, but also a good movie for these times, because any one of us could we wake up and try and do good or try and help, and you don't, like, a lot of the cases you feel like you end up right back where you started, or in most cases behind how she felt.
Yeah.
You don't see it's not the good that you do, it's what that good propels on. It wasn't the person she saved, it was the daughter of the person she saved, or the grandson of the person she saved, that multiplied the goodness and was able to spread out. And that's what's most important.
That line, you know, she saves one, and two, 3 generations later, we reap the benefits.
Yeah.
Oh, God, what a line.
That line, there. Okay, talk about lines. The other line that I really can't get out of my head is, it's not what time takes away, it's what time leaves behind. Yeah. That's a huge, like, just like truth, because like it kind of is, like, you look back at your memories and kind of what you have, and it's really what they, you know, the good and the bad ones, whether you like them or not, like, it's that's kind of been left there.
Well, this also answers another thing too, is once everyone always believes they want immortality.
Yeah.
And if a crazy person got immortality, they would love it to hell, because they would just go on a rampage and be for forever evil, you know. But it's good people. It's when a good person gets immortality that they don't want it. Have you noticed that? Yeah. These are good people. Yeah. And they curse that they have immortality.
Yeah, isn't any gift in a sense a curse as well?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of even to the people who are bad, like, you have to live with that bad for forever, to a point. And I like, and this was where, like, the immortality thing for me in this show, like, really, like, twisted, was like they really drove home the fact that everything, whether you like it or not, like, has an end. Even a gift such as immortality doesn't go on for nothing. I mean, nothing is truly immortal in a sense of the living, but that's kind of the whole point of living.
Right.
And that duality is, especially the message that they try to teach anybody who captures them, is like, this is not a gift that is transferable. The gift is not even me having it. It's the curse of me having it, because I'm dreaded to try and help the world and do all these things.
Yep.
And that's the gift. That's the true immortal gift. It's that evolving goodwill or good acts that should be multiplied by everybody, instead of just trying to take what's mine, because you don't really get to take anything with you. It's only what you leave behind. And a lot of this is just like trying to leave even a small amount of good can project or multiply into something that you have no idea. And maybe it's not even your purpose to know.
There's a wonderful commercial. I can't remember what it was for. I just remember loving the commercial. Now, in that sense, it's actually a terrible commercial, because I can't remember what the product was. But what they did in the commercial was great, and someone probably can find this. Well, we might look it up later. But the whole aspect of it is a random act of kindness. And so it starts with this person. They see a mom pushing a stroller, and the baby is, playing with the doll, and the doll falls out, but the mom doesn't notice. So a person runs up, grabs the doll, and hands it to the baby, and the mom goes, "Oh, thank you so much," right? Mm-hmm. And someone sees that, right? Mm-hmm. And then it leads to that person, and they see, something happen with someone. They hold a door open for someone else, who's trying to make something, or they push, hold door for an elevator or something like that, and someone else sees that. So then they go and do something else, and it goes through this whole thing. But what's really interesting about it is that it leads back to the person grabbing the doll and giving it back. So it does a loop.
I like that.
Oh, man. It's so good.
Very similar to,
that's why I brought it up. It's the same thing.
It's very, And I mean, not let alone like all like the intricate like deep like details and like philosophies and like what the movie kind of like represents, or at least the perspectives of which we got. It's a kick-ass film. We haven't even gotten to Charlize Theron, Andy, and she like murder deaths everybody like.
Murder deaths. I like that.
I mean, it's so crazy. Like, I mean,
the choreography is amazing.
The choreography, and it puts in this perspective. Like, this is clear. Like, and Booker says it. He like that line that goes like, you know, she has survived more ways to kill than any army has ever learned. And it's exactly. What? Like, and at that point, she had started to, spoiler alert, lose her power. Or her gift.
I have a very funny feeling that when they lose their power, it's when they start doubting their purpose.
That seems to be a clear representation.
Because the other ones, even though, including Booker, even though he hates the fact that he is immortal, he hates it. And we learn that.
Oh, yeah.
But if you noticed, he actually didn't lose his purpose. He thought he did.
Yeah.
But he still did good.
He did.
He always wanted to do good, still.
Yeah. Well, though his whole act was, he was like, the one person that that had his like grief or understood his pain was Andy, and all Andy wanted to do was die, and all he wanted to like
do was get that to her. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of in some aspect, like, wouldn't you like if the person you most admired and looked up to like just wanted to be released from that pain, if you could find that answer. You know,
yeah. Well, and immediately he regrets it. He knows he made a mistake almost immediately. But like I said, I think that I think their power has to do with what they perceive to be their purpose. And once they lose sight of that, then it really is their time. Yeah. That is true. And I think that warrior, when he, you know, back in the early days, when that one warrior did die,
yeah,
I think he may, and we don't know. I'm totally speculating.
But I mean, even his speech is like, "It's my time. I'm ready." Like he was
exactly. He stopped.
Yeah, there was no like, you know,
he was okay with dying.
Yeah, even I even see like even Booker on some level like I mean, he's so ashamed of the gift. It's almost he can't get rid of the gift. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Even though he wants to die, like he also like this gift has now made his almost sole reason for living is to understand and relive that grief.
Yep.
So it's like you can't if you can't let that go, there's no way for you to move on. I mean, and
so
Andy had started to reach a point where she was done with everything. There was no
right
or wrong.
She had no purpose. All the good she did meant nothing. So her purpose was moot. And that's when her power started to disappear.
Yeah.
And that's what I think happened. I completely think that it has to do and if there's actually a way that I can actually equate this to something, and it's in Spider-Man 2.
The old ones?
Sure, the old ones. The ones with Tobey Maguire.
I could have just said the original. But...
Yeah, the ones with Tobey Maguire. In the second Spider-Man, remember he starts to lose his power, lose his powers. But do you remember why?
Because he had lost his like. It's very similar. He lost his kind of reason.
Lost the reason for it.
Yeah. He had no more purpose to be Spider-Man because he had no purpose to being Peter Parker. He didn't want to be anything.
He had lost everything, so nothing mattered.
Yeah.
He lost his powers.
I mean,
it's amazing what the brain does to the human body.
That has always been like a very big fascination of mine because like you can really will into existence like your own like diseases and sickness. If you really
that's why doctors tell people not to look at WebMD for your symptoms.
That's right.
Because you'll make them happen.
And I think I saw that like on TV one time, and like in a doctor house or some show, and I was like, oh, because one of them was like, yeah, I think they were addicted to like just looking up things on WebMD, and he started having all these symptoms, and it came to find out it's like your brain's creating all of this, and I thought for sure science fiction TV show, and then like I was like watching a TED Talk or something, and it was like all about how powerful like what your brain can create, and how we all kind of like live in the reality of what is going on up here. What we think up here, we usually try and find out here.
Well, and that's why stress is so dangerous.
No, for sure. Oh, 1,000%.
Because you go into a stress mode, your entire body can shut down.
Yeah, because
it's a terrible.
And it's just a rabbit hole of just endless. There's no way out. You'll just think, and then everything becomes stressful.
That's why when like if someone comes in at work, you know, I if they seem flustered at all, my first thing is, hold on, let me sit down. Now tell me what you need. You know, yeah. Because they're freaking out. They're trying to get all their stuff, but because they're freaking out, they're not getting the right things. They're not saying the right stuff, and they're not remembering what it is they need to do. Yeah. So everything is all jumbled up, and it just causes a whole mass of havoc on their brain.
Stress is no good for anybody. Yeah, so 1 out of 10, the old guard.
1 out of 10.
Yeah, you can't say 0. I guess you could say 0.
Why are we saying 0?
Well, because I didn't add 0. I said at a scale of like 1 to 10 for the old guard, and you said why 1, and so I immediately thought, well, did you want me to start with 0? You can't rate something a 0.
No. You were rating it a 1 out of 10 just now.
Yeah, no, I said rate it from 1 out of 10.
That's not what you said.
Rewind, go back, flip it, twist it up.
And you had asked me that before, and I had said 10.
Did you say 10?
I did.
That's right. The question I asked.
And all of a sudden, you were saying 1 out of 10. I'm going like, you love this movie, and you're giving it a 1 out of 10. I'd like to see what you say at 10 out of 10. God.
1
to 10.
No. It's like golf. The lower the points, the higher. So 1's got to be really good.
Ah, got it. So I gave it the terrible score.
That is. Yeah. Flipped it on you. See, flipped it reverse. See, that's why I like golf so much. Not how many points you have, it's how many points you don't have.
Do you actually watch golf?
No. Nor have I ever played golf. I just like the point system. It's not about how many you get. It's how many you don't have. Aspire to that. That's right. The question that threw you for a loop was favorite character.
Oh, God.
Now that we've been talking about it for a little bit.
Who's yours? See, it's hard. It's a hard freaking question to answer, man.
Okay,
I have a least favorite character, and okay, don't get me wrong, I love all the characters, but I do have one at the bottom of my list, and sadly, it is our Marine girl.
Really?
She's at my bottom of my list.
I thought you were gonna say Dudley.
Well, you hate him, but you're meant to hate him.
But he does. See, that's what I mean, you can't hate it because they do such a good job. But it's like those actors that can portray somebody that you're supposed to hate, but they're doing such a good job at making you hate them.
Yeah, that you still like them as a character.
You're good, but I hate you.
Yeah. No. And that's exactly what he does.
Oh yeah.
And so I mean, okay, yeah, no, he's still on the low. He's actually still below.
So Niall,
but of the team, Niall is my least favorite. But
does that mean because she's so new?
Kind of, but as it progressed, she started going up the notches.
Yeah,
It felt like, and
the airplane scene. That's where it turned for me with her.
That wasn't my turning point.
But either way, like
that was a
beginning.
That was a start. That was a starting point. I will say that was a starting point.
How was that fight scene though?
It's fantastic. It's really good. The choreography is freaking top notch.
Yeah, they did a really good job. You can tell
it was and I said this in the beginning of the movie. It was giving Wolverine's powers to people who all have John Wick's skills.
Oh, yeah.
That would be so terrifying.
And that's the other thing. It's like John Wick on set, because they know. I mean, not that John Wick was able to use anything as a weapon, and so are they in a sense. But their ability to utilize weapons within a team range. Their actions also supported their teammates, and they had guns waiting.
But remember, John Wick can do that too.
Yes, of course, and it was clearly shown, like especially like him and
Parabellum,
Parabellum for sure.
Yeah,
but like I mean, and it clearly showed how good of a teamwork they had when at the end, even though Nikki and Joe were completely over it with Booker, they still, and even Booker, like you could tell that one moment where like he reached down to grab a mag and hand it to Andy.
Oh, they were still, the team was flawless. The team was flawless.
And
it was so, God, it was just so amazing. The whole thing in the building is so well done, and thank you God for guns running out of ammo and having to reload and making it more real that way, aside from the silencers still being silencers and not suppressors, which is what they really are. But that aside, it was so true to life. Everything was so fucking good. And I'm even looking at it from a military standpoint, and I'm watching it from what I've learned from my friends in the military, and they were doing stuff that was like spot on.
It was
the shoulder tap was spot on. Who goes in first when they breach? Who breaches? When they breach? When they go in after the first person enters? How they clear a room? Everything was so good. Now, obviously, it's Hollywood, and everything's going to be a little bit off.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You can't.
But them using themselves as
they're
shields,
as close. They got as close as just about any movie I've ever seen. There's so few movies. I can put Saving Private Ryan up there, Lone Survivor.
I haven't seen Lone Survivor.
Ooh,
I haven't seen that one.
We'll do that one. Fury was another great one.
I think I saw Fury.
But so few military movies. American Sniper's another great one.
I saw that one.
Bradley
Cooper, good job.
Oh, Bradley Cooper's great. Now, a few things from that movie are off, but still did really, really well. But this movie was so good. The people on this movie knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
And a wonderful cast.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Like
and nothing was forced on you. Did you realize that?
Yeah,
For a 2020 movie, no message aside from just doing good is forced on you.
That's it. That's
it wasn't who's doing good. It wasn't why they're doing good. It was just simply do good.
I also like that they didn't have. I also like that they didn't have like the full story of what even was happening to them. Even Andy, who has lived for probably thousands of years.
Oh, definitely thousands of years.
Like she
was back in ancient Greece before the Roman Empire ever happened, which means that she's been around at least for 3,000 or 4,000 years.
And no idea. I mean, like they understand that, and like even them, they're like they're like, are you good or bad? We're like, it depends on the century. We try to do as good as we can.
That was a good line.
We try to do as good as we can, but
we do what we believe to be right.
Yeah, and I mean, and
them admitting that sometimes they're wrong.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. I mean, through and through, good film. I still like to pick Booker as my favorite because he was like the go-to.
He's got a great character arc.
Yes.
He's got a great character arc.
I really like his.
But in terms of best character, I can give it to Booker. In terms of best character, I can give it to Booker. My favorite character, it's a tie, and it's the gay couple. Nikki and Joe are just so good. Just everything. And freaking, I do, because they always talk about the two of them as together, and they never really say Nikki or Joe. They say Nikki and Joe every time. Which one is...
Nikki is the...
is he our Italian?
He's the Italian.
Okay.
Yeah. He's the guy that got shot in the...
Got it. That's right. Yeah, that's right. He says, you shot Nikki. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, and Joe wrecks that guy. Every time I see that scene.
Joe gives one of the most heartfelt, romantic speeches of love I have ever heard. It's so good. Everything in that whole delivery is so good. He's so adamant. Everything that he's saying is so on point. It was just it was so beautiful. It was beautiful.
The child thing really got to me. Whereas like you
with Booker.
With Joe, when he's talking, he's like, "You're an infant. You have no idea."
When he's talking to the
you have no idea what love is or what even the meaning of boyfriend is. Yeah, of course he's my boyfriend, but he's so much more than that.
He's not my boyfriend. He's that and so much more that you will never even understand. Oh,
you romantic!
Oh God!
And then they kill everybody.
That way we can get these cuffs off.
And then my favorite line, they're getting loaded on.
No.
Hey, there's a TV joke. It's so good. That's the hardest part for me to watch is them being, because I really like that aspect of it too. What would be the scariest thing for an immortal? And it's not like, dying or anything. Of course not.
No, it's losing another immortal.
It's losing another, but being captured is like more
because then you're subject to infinite torture.
And especially Quinn. I mean, who can imagine? Like, even though we see her,
there's definitely a sequel, obviously coming.
So I've been waiting,
I'm really hoping she hasn't gone insane. I'm just praying. However, here's my idea of what they'll do.
Mm-hmm.
She will be the bad guy.
Of course.
She will be the bad guy. But the whole movie will be on obviously stopping her or for whatever she's going to do. But it will be to hopefully bring her back.
I think so. So
that's at least what the plot will be.
I
don't know if they'll pull it off.
They haven't confirmed any plot or anything, but I was reading the other day, leading up to us doing this, that the Old Guard has been confirmed for a sequel. And it has also been confirmed that Charlize Theron will return.
Oh yeah, I told you. She's not losing her powers.
Well, I don't think she's losing her powers or anything. I totally think she's going to get them back. It will be with what they did with this movie. Like I'm just excited to watch the next one.
Oh yeah.
Like I kind of, and honestly, it's honestly one of those films like Endgame, and not to that level because Endgame is Endgame and it'll always be Endgame. But one of those movies where you don't want to watch anything about it and you just want to enjoy that film is so enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I've seen it,
and it's funny because I'm always good with spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
They allow me sometimes to watch a movie that normally I wouldn't be able to sit through, because at least I can tell myself like it gets better.
Yeah,
make it through. Watch why it happens. Watch why it's so good. Watch why why you get to the end. So a lot of the time I'm usually fine with spoilers because there are certain things that I just I can't even think of anything on the top of my head except for one. Like the best instance would be The Office. I can't really stand cringe humor.
Neither can I.
It's really hard.
Neither can I.
It's really, really difficult.
Some instances it's good. Some I'm like
right. But there's a really big but to that, and that was because I have seen episodes of The Office,
and they're hilarious
and they're great. And then I saw the finale. And the series finale is so good in just about every aspect. And it made me go, okay, I have to now watch this from the beginning. And I've now seen every episode of The Office, and it is one of the best sitcoms ever.
It's remarkably good. It is,
and it's so rewatchable.
Oh, 100%. It is very. I always thought I was a big Parks and Recreation fan, and I thought
Parks and
thought that was the sitcom of all sitcoms, and it was the same thing. I'm not a big fan of cringe humor or anything like that, and I've seen little bits of The Office, and I was like, oh man, that's too cringy. And then I think
there are still certain ones where you're just like, oh god, no, can't do it.
I think what happened to me is I started watching all the pranks that
by Jim Does to
Dwight, and I watched that and I was like, okay, I have to see this for this relationship alone. Like it's so funny. And then you watch it and they're all so. I mean, yes, the Office is another piece of very good sitcom cinema.
Yep.
For sure. But yeah, so I mean, like, awesome. I can't wait for the second one.
God, I'm so happy there's gonna be a second one.
I really the other thing that I kind of thought of too is like it was cool not only not knowing the story, but if you kind of like and I just thought about this, and I don't know, like I may be way too far down the rabbit hole at this point, but like I'm almost saying, like you watch it, you're almost kind of Niall's character. You totally are. You start it and you
totally are.
No idea what's going on, and then as Niall kind of gains her ability, you kind of start learning their story and kind of because usually you start a movie and it's like
there was
I don't know. Like there's some like big like, and you get a lot of the story up front, and like even in this.
Well, that's been a huge problem recently. Has been let's just give everything up front. I'm going, no, don't do that.
But pull us in and invite us into this film. Totally, like it started off, and you're like, they're all dead. No, they're not all dead. And what's more? And then what's more? And now there's a new person.
Well, admittedly, at least I did see the trailer, so I knew the immortal thing.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I didn't. I kind of wish I absolutely knew nothing. This is a film. I gotta say, this is a film where you actually really, one of the few. There are very few films that I say this about. You don't want to know anything going into this.
Oh no. And it's not has nothing to do with knowing more ruins the movie. It's just the movie is so enjoyable. You almost
you wish that you had no knowledge, because it would have made it even more special.
It's like the thing that always, like, especially big, movie people or people who like TV or whatever, like there's always that one movie in your life where you look at and you go, man, I wish I could forget it so that I could watch it again. Like there's so many movies you're like, man, I wish I could just like, and you try, you'll go for months without watching it, you'll put it in a box, you'll hide it in a crate, you'll ship it off to your aunt, you'll do whatever it takes to get it away from you, and then you'll watch it and you'll go, damn it.
Admittedly, there was a movie, I'm trying to remember which one it was, that I just rewatched. A movie I just rewatched was Beverly Hills Cop.
That's Eddie Murphy.
That's
right?
Eddie Murphy.
Okay, not that this is like woo-aha moment, but the movie that I was thinking about wasn't that, but it was also Eddie Murphy. It was The Haunted Mansion. That was the one we recently just watched, and you said that, and I was like, is he thinking about Eddie Murphy too?
But it was funny because I loved Beverly Hills Cop and Beverly Hills Cop 2. I loved both those movies. And I was recently, I was talking with my mom, and I'm going like, God, I really want to watch Beverly Hills Cop 2 again. And she goes, well, see if it's on demand and everything. It wasn't on demand or anything like that. So I was like, I'll buy it on YouTube. And I bought it. And we watched it again. And I'm going like, I'm so excited for this. I remember loving this movie so much. All these different things happening. And then, like, the movie starts going on. I'm going like, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
That's new.
Holy cow. And I was like, dang, there's a lot of stuff I don't remember. And I was like super excited. I'm going like, that's so good. And I was like,
Well,
And
I
it
mean,
was
Eddie
really
Murphy
good.
is just.
He's so good.
I mean, I know like everything going. I mean, before all this, he was supposed to like be coming back to stand up and things like that.
Oh, he's gonna be so damn good, man.
I mean,
His stand-up's amazing.
His
Have you
stand-up-
watched his stand-up? Oh my god,
his stand up is super good. I mean,
he's up there with the greats, man. He's right there.
For sure. I personally right now, if I had to choose like a favorite stand up comedian, it would be Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
I mean he.
I still think Dave Chappelle is the king.
I think what he's like he's I mean and I have this is just my own whatever. I mean he's really kind of, I wouldn't say saving comedy, but he's out there being risky and dangerous.
I would say he's saving comedy.
I've heard that in a few other places, and I think I mean even now he's out in where I think he lives in Idaho or maybe Ohio, I think it is, and he set up this whole outdoor stage, and it's all COVID safe.
Man,
everyone gets temperature checks. You get a mask. It's all distance. And he literally is like he goes and he brings him. He brings artists and he does shows like almost every weekend or something like that. Just basically in his backyard, and he's making almost zero money off of it. It's just for the act of.
And does he need to make it?
No. You know what? I saw him in Netflix. Also has a really great show, and I never watched him when he was on television.
Oh God,
David Letterman.
His shorts are hilarious, man. His show, Dave Chappelle.
Dave
the Dave Chappelle show.
Oh, but one of the greatest sketches shows of all time.
I love in one of his more recent stand-ups, he talks about turn on Comedy Central and I watch Key and Peele do my entire show.
They're really awesome though. I really like Key and Peele.
I do too.
I found them in Mad TV, and I absolutely is it Peele's Jordan Peele's the writer, right? He wrote Get Out.
Yep.
Yeah,
he's the Oscar-winning freaking.
Never saw the film, but I heard like it was his writing is very well done. His storytelling.
It's essentially Stepford Wives, but turning black people into white people. That sounds
crazy.
Horrifying.
That's crazy.
That sounds like just my brain thinking about going like that like anyone being forcefully turned into something else just sounds really bad, and the whole aspect behind it is also just
yeah,
scares the heck out of me, man.
I don't do scary movies.
That would be absolutely terrifying, to be chained to a chair and slowly turned into something else that you weren't. And all for the reason of bullshit reason of betterment of something. Just,
it was. I mean,
that's scary, man. That's a really scary idea.
I don't do scary, man, and that's.
I know you don't.
And this is the 1 month out of the year. I have 2 days left until the sweet November. No, I'm just kidding. Halloween's awesome.
But you hate everything about it.
I just hate being. I don't get like. The life is scary enough. I don't need to be more scared. Or maybe I do. I don't know, but not in movie form if I can avoid it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So David Letterman does like this another talk show, but it's his own like making and design, and he has Dave Chappelle on there. And Dave Chappelle's talking about how he set up this whole arena. They actually do the like interview or whatever at this like venue or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing that he talks about is like, look, I mean, like, and it's not like the fact that I'm sure he's making money off of it, but the other thing is like he
also easily could make money if he wanted.
It's his whole operation.
Everybody would pay him.
For sure. But like the big thing is like, he gets everybody who's like lost their jobs or not working. He's able to bring that back to his community and employ, because they need. Servers, and they need, people doing temperature checks and people manning the stage. And so he's able to like bring all these people together and just have something in the backyard that also brings joy to people who want to come and see it. So like from the top to bottom, it's a whole, working good scenario.
No, that's again, most of the time, comedians are doing good by bringing joy.
This is the part that I really like, and I get it. Like some jokes, like, and I don't know the lives that other people lead, and things like that. And everybody has their own perspective, and you are kind of living in your own world through your own kind of vision, which makes a lot of sense. Maybe you aren't, maybe you are. But the big thing is like you're these guys, they're just trying to make they're taking something and they're trying to find humor out of it. It's just meant to be funny.
That's the only way you can usually deal with anything.
Yeah,
is you have to be able to find the bright side of it. You have to be able to live with it. You have to be able to poke fun of it. Fit where you're not breathing. Yeah. Oh my god!
It's funny how laughter can kill you.
And if it doesn't, it adds years to your life.
That's true. The best type of medicine.
Oh man, that's the way to be immortal. Is just laughing forever.
That's it. We did have some laughs. So I mean, as I'm assuming then, like, I mean, we've talked a lot about movie and TV. Is that all you've really been doing these last few months?
No, I have been reading non-stop.
You know what? I've picked up a few books myself, but listening.
Well, okay. The books I've been reading have been about 10,000 pages long.
I've heard some of they've got 2,000 chapters.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's like, but isn't it like a bunch of stories?
No.
It's one book. That's.
Finished one of them. Finished the one. It's 1,710 chapters long. Finished that one. Was really, really good.
I just want to see the like audible, like, this will take you'll die before you. By the time you've listened to this book, you'll be in a forever sleep.
You're gonna be 6 feet under and it's still going.
Chapter 1001. I finished. He like wakes up. Ah! I'm done.
No, I've just been, because of the COVID thing, I've just been reading so much stuff. And I mean, I like one of the one that I finished. I actually started second. I was reading this other one. I had gotten to like chapter 760 something.
As you do.
And I started reading this other one because and what was going on at the time, I was like, okay, I got to like step away from this for a little bit. I'm getting too into the story.
You better be into it after 700 chapters.
But meaning like it's affecting me too much emotionally as I'm reading it.
I see.
Like because that's all I've been doing. I haven't really been able to go anywhere aside from either seeing you or family, certain family members and stuff like that, or just going to work. That's essentially what I've been able to do. So I've just been reading so much stuff. But I was so sucked into the story, and things were not necessarily going well, and I'm going like, okay, I'm going to take a step back. Let's find something else to read. So I found this other story, and it was really, really good. And again, it like other thing. I had to stop reading that one for a while because other bad stuff was happening. I was like, fudge.
So you're like 700 chapters in. You're getting emotional. You're like, oh, time to put this down. Maybe pick up something different.
Oh, I didn't say different. I just said something else.
Something else. And your immediate thought is, let's pick another book that's 12,000 chapters long.
1,710.
12,000. They're the same number.
Oh, 12,000 chapters.
When you get to
12,000 pages.
When you're saying 1,700 chapters, I'm hearing 12,000 chapters. Because that, again, that's got like of course, and I've mentioned this many times, like I'm reading all the Harry Potter books. I'm on book 5, by the way. I started on 3, so don't give me credit of reading 5 books. I always have to say that because I did get to skip the first 2, but
3 is good.
I'm on book 5.
3 is good.
Book 3, look. They're good. Am I like, is my life changed and have I become like a Harry Potter like fan? As much as I talk about it, you might think I would be, but
I know you're not.
Or
not a diehard.
They're good, but as much as my girlfriend wants me to love them and be like a super fan, it's not gonna happen. Well,
here's the thing. Okay, you do have to get past number 5 because number 5 is.
I have to get to 7 or I don't get an Apple Watch.
Well, what I mean is that you have to kind of, in my opinion, when I was reading the books, number 5 is the worst book because it's just nothing but depressing.
It's so very depressing.
Number 5 is exceedingly depressing. Okay, in terms of movies, number 5 might be one of the better movies. They just because they kind of they still deal with the depression, but they scoop out so much more, so you're not like wanting to kill yourself by the end of it.
That's true.
The 6th book is the best in my personal opinion.
I can't wait for the Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah, in my opinion, the 6th book is the best Harry Potter book.
I have been thoroughly enjoying them, and like my girlfriend's been happy that I've been reading them. I do like these little like trivia like episodes with my twin. He him and my little brother like create a test and they try and like give it to me.
Hilarious.
I
need to do some of these tests, see what I remember because I haven't read them in forever.
Dude, my little brother has gone 0 to 60. I'm sorry, little bro, but you've gone 0 to 60.
Meaning crazy.
Yeah. We went to unfortunately or fortunately like have gone on a few trips, but they've all been very outdoorsy. I went to Lake Tahoe in July, and just at the beginning of this month I backpacked the Grand Canyon. Did like 30 miles, and I didn't tell you, but that's why all that gear is right there with the hiking pole.
I was wondering why the sleeping bag.
Oh yeah, this thing's cool. The sleeping bag is a nothing.
I like how that's what I talked about, and you said, "Oh yeah, this thing's cool." Not the sleeping bag that I mentioned.
No.
But the backpack.
No, because that's not this is the sleeping bag that I used that was attached to the, the bag.
Okay.
You can, for those of you that's like, what is he talking about? I couldn't bring this to the Grand Canyon.
That would have been a mistake.
This compared to this is way easier and all fits like. But this pack has like a camelback like on the inside that like attaches to it, so I had like 2 liters of water.
Yeah, the new backpacks are
ridiculous.
Really good.
And this was like, I don't know, $40 or something.
The backpack was only $40.
It was super. Like all this gear was probably like maybe $250. Excluding the hiking shoes. The
sleeping bag had to be the most expensive thing.
The sleeping bag was like $20 yet again. I think the sleeping bag was Amazon. Or not Amazon. There's too many apps.
There's an app for that.
Groupon. When me and my girlfriend went to...
I really hate shopping.
I didn't do that. We bought those sleeping bags a long time. I was actually surprised because at first I was going to bring... that's all I had.
I'm glad you didn't bring that
one. Me neither. Because, the Grand Canyon trip by far, and I'll show you after.
Who'd you go with?
I went with Lexi, my girlfriend.
Lexi went?
No, Lexi's dad.
Oh.
She had 5. Are you kidding me? She had her own vacation with me not being home. She was like, "You're going to be gone for how many days? Is there any way to extend?" in fact, and I like
just don't come home.
When I did come home, I was sent immediately back out into the world and wound up driving to Vegas for one night with Chris. I literally came home. I spent one day at home, and then Chris came over because he was heading to Vegas, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to Vegas. We leave tomorrow morning. We'll be back on Tuesday." And I'm like, "All right, that's cool." And he's like, "Well, do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess. I mean, I have to go to work on Tuesday, but I'm off Sunday and Monday." And then I'm like, it was honestly probably roughly around. Well, let's see. It was 13 miles the first day of hiking, 7 miles on the second day, and 10 on... So it was about 30 miles.
Yeah.
And then there was one day where we kind of walked around. I can get to that story in a minute. But so I
all relating to the yeah.
And I was so... before I even got to the Grand Canyon, I know we went from Harry Potter. I got a lot of things. Let's go. Let's rewind the tape. Hold on. There's too many stories here. Let's go all the way back to Harry Potter and my little brother. Sorry. Little brother.
This all relates to the last guard.
Well, no,
the first guard. See, it's the original guard. I don't remember now.
It's the old guard.
Thank you.
And
it's right there, actually. I can see it, and I didn't look at it.
And but you see, even in the title, do you see that the no? Because it's small. You don't try to find it.
I'm not as blind as you. I can still see it. Okay, maybe not right now.
No, but see, and I think like, and you know, I can edit this part out, or maybe not.
Could be its own thing.
But what I like to do is the movie helps us pick like a topic and like gets us like talking, and it's something like fun to kind of, and we can go deep into stories. But then what I also like to do is, now that that's kind of like, we've talked about the old guard, we talked about TV and movies. I remember
all of our other videos.
We kind of go off on other topics. And usually it involves me trying to make you laugh as hard as I can. So
I know. I enjoy it. I love laughing.
Sorry, little bro. So we go to Lake Tahoe, and of course, like, I've had this deal for a long time, 5 years. If I read all 7 Harry Potter books, Lexi will buy me a new Apple Watch. And clearly has not been going well, because even by the time I had gotten to Lake Tahoe, which was only like, July, like 3 months ago, I was still on book 3.
Oh my god!
So clearly I was not.
Dude, I would have been done with this in like less than a month.
Clearly, I was not fulfilling my.
Especially with what I've been reading.
By the time I had gotten to Lake Tahoe, I was really actively reading and going through it. Okay. Because with the pandemic and everything and being at home, there's
so little you can do.
You can
only watch so much before your eyes just go what the heck.
Exactly. There comes to a point where you can only watch The Old Guard 10 times before you go, okay, maybe it's time to put this down. I'm just kidding. Maybe I'm not. But
I have a feeling you've watched it 10 times.
I've probably seen it more.
It's so good, though.
It's so good. And there's another movie that I have to show you at some point called The Gentleman. And I've talked about this before.
I know.
It's so good.
I know. I need to see it.
Here's what happens.
Isn't it the precursor to...
No.
It's not.
No. To the Kingsman has nothing to do with that. It's its own piece of...
Same type of idea, though?
Nope. Has nothing to do with any of that.
Oh.
Has nothing to do with... It has nothing to do with any of that. It's very good. But now we're going into another movie. So I started reading. So I started getting into reading. For me is, I wouldn't say difficult, but it's.
Are you actually reading the Harry Potter books yourself, or are you doing Audible?
I'm doing Audible for everything. When I say anytime I say read, I need everybody to replace the word read with listen. And I'll explain because I've also tried doing that, because I get it. I am listening to the book. I am not reading the book. But
well, here's the thing. Certain books I think can be done well in audio, but there are other ones where I feel you need to be the one to portray it in your own brain.
True. And I get all of that, and I would be on board with that. My thing is,
you have to squint to read.
I have to squint. My eyesight is very poor, and so I have to concentrate. I have to give all of my attention to reading, but that also means the lighting needs to be perfect, because I'm concentrating so hard. I need absolute silence. You need to get a Kindle. I need so many tickers. I've tried that as well.
So you can increase the size of the text.
But I run into the same problem. The longer I try and utilize my eyes and concentrate, especially with screens, see what it is my left eye is legally blind.
Right.
So my right eye has to compensate for the lack of work that my left eye is doing. And if I...
Sorry if I'm laughing with the way you're saying.
If I overstrain it... Well, that's the whole point. Everything I try and say is supposed to be a joke. I mean, it's true, but it's also a joke.
Laugh at my pain.
Laugh at my pain. So I can easily overwork my eyes, either utilize... Even just... I have to be careful because sometimes, like, now that I work so close to home, I will take my lunch hour and I will come and edit videos. It's only for 30 minutes by the time I get all situated, but like it's 30 minutes, like it's as much as I can. I try to maximize as much as I can throughout the day.
Right.
But I've noticed that if I do that, if I do that too much, like by the end of the day, I definitely have a headache. Like because I stare at a screen all day at work, especially like I sit up front at the place that I work, and you know, even with the blinds, like the lights and all of those have become factors. Right. So reading becomes such a, and even with the Kindle, it's just like it always becomes I need this, I need this, I need this, I need that. There just became so much structure to trying to enjoy something.
Okay, I get
that
it then.
I started again. I was gonna say listening, and I went straight into reading because I honestly want everybody to know, and I don't care who knows. But I want everybody to, like, I do try and tell people I listen to books. But even though you listen to books, like, it's still a book, and you've always associated, at least for me, I've always associated books with reading. Yeah. So every time I'm like, I listen to books, and I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever said. I listen, like, it's like I just put a book on the table, and I'm like, are you going to say anything? Like, it just, so I keep going back to reading books, but I really am listening. Damn, that was a tangent. So I really got into it because like that was the other thing is like I made this deal or this bet that I would read all these Harry Potter books for my girlfriend. Right. And since I haven't even read one, right? Like I just was like, I'm not going to read anything else because that would be really dumb. That would be really dumb. Really dumb. Have you read the Harry Potter books that we've been talking about for 5 years? No, but I've read these other ones. Like,
there's a stack of other books you've read.
So I started listening to the third book.
How did you manage to skip the first two?
A combination of convincing of going the first two, like compared to the movies, the first two books or the first two movies were also the best representation of the books. Yeah. So I had that going for me.
Except for they took out Peeves the Poltergeist, which was
they took out. Of course, they took some out liberties, but the other thing too was like
Peeves was a great little character. Though. I wish he was still in there.
We had the books on tapes when we were kids. I mean, the first two books have been out for a very long time. Yep. So I have listened to the books at some region. In fact, my twin was the one that really helped solidify it because he was like, "No, we used to listen to them all the time." And my twin, so regardless of my littlest brother, who is almost as big as a Harry Potter fan as my twin and my girlfriend. I'm telling you, it's everybody but me.
Hey, I'm there with you, bud. I love Harry Potter, but I'm not a fanatic.
I'm telling you. Like
remember, Artemis Fowl is my thing.
That's true.
And we have to do a video on that. And you're going to get an earful from me, considering what you told me.
It's one topic at a time.
Yeah, we'll leave it up for another day.
Getting
it later, though.
Yeah, so, I mean, reading...
So they come up with these things.
They come up with these things. They're very much into Harry Potter, and so I've started figuring out. Oh my goodness, what I can do is like if I because my whole thing is how am I going to prove to my sorry babe fanatic of a girlfriend because she loves Harry Potter. She has read the books over and over and over again. I only have to read them once. Right? Like, you know, so like my whole thing is like, how am I going to prove to her that I read the books? Right? So I thought, oh, cool, I can make a video out of it. My twin's very knowledgeable about Harry Potter, probably even like, I would say more so only because I've lived with him and known him longer. And he's very much into Harry Potter, and the only reason why
you should do a video with
I really should
with him and
with both of them.
Yeah, they should do a video. Like you should like start it and say like we're having a contest today, and you're the host, and so you and your little brother come up with all the questions, okay? And we do a video of the two. Oh my god, I have to be there for that.
when I took them to, not me, when we all went to London last year,
right,
and we went and saw where Harry Potter was filmed at the Warner Brothers studio lot. I thought I had lost both of them. I just, and like, yeah, you can go back and watch them. They're because I labeled all of them like the Muggle enters Hogwarts or the Muggle, because I like when you see these guys on camera, they're so laser focused in. They're like at one moment, and this is the only thing I could really put. We're walking through the dark forest, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And there's a button you can push, and it like lights up the stag of the Patronus. If you just heard me 10 minutes ago, I'm terrified of everything. So we're in the dark forest. I'm already creeped out. Somebody hits the thing. I'm like, ghost or something. And my brother goes, no, you dumbass. It's the Patronus. And I'm like, what is that? Oh, yeah, okay. We're okay. Everybody's fine.
So tell me you really said ghost.
I believe well, I'll have to pull it up. But so anyways, we're reading these books, trying to read these books. And we get to Lake Tahoe, and Lake Tahoe I don't want to say family reunion because that means there was a bunch of people there, and there wasn't. It was a very close-knit, very small group of people, a family reunion that I had a couple months back outdoors. We had 2 different locations. We had like a campground and a house.
If this was months ago and none of you are sick,
yeah, I know,
you're fine.
But I'm just saying, they were like we'd the whole night. But so we went up there, and my girlfriend was chatting with my little brother, and my little brother is full blown Harry Potter to the point where when we showed up to Lake Tahoe, he knew the bet, he knew everything that was going on. I think I might have filmed the 3rd one. I'm not really sure, but. So he even hands me like a guidebook. Like when I show up to Lake Tahoe, he hands me a guidebook that's basically like the secret inner workings of Harry Potter, just so I could like study up or something. And he is going full blown because he's 13. He cannot.
Oh my God, he's 13.
He
now.
cannot comprehend how I have not had time to listen or read to these books. He is berating me every day. You don't have 20 minutes a day to read it. What do you do all day long? You don't have 20 minutes. You can't. What are you doing right now? You could be reading right now. Why are you not like? And I am just like, I'm like, no offense, man, but I'm on vacation. Like I'm trying to relax just a little bit.
I'm not trying to do an assignment.
So now. I don't think it was a mistake at all. I think it was a beautiful thing. Lexi kind of beats herself up over what happens next, which you shouldn't. This is 100% cool. I really like what's going on. Lexi, because Lexi's going, oh my goodness, this guy's gonna get him to read Harry Potter even if there was no bet. Like he's gonna like. This person's gonna ensure. So Lexi's trying to find a way to like get him involved, and they know about the Apple Watch, and they're very much in the Apple, and so Lexi, I don't think like in not defense, I don't think she thought it through all the way, but at one moment she just goes, "Hey, if you can get him to read the books, I'll buy you an Apple Watch too." You say that to a 13-year-old? His berating turned into torture. He was calling me at the middle of the night. Are you reading Harry Potter? Not that drastic, but it got. I wish I had my phone. I could pull up some of the text message. The text. I wish
I had my phone.
Yeah, I found it. I'm not gonna pull that. I'm not gonna berate him that much, but basically some of the text messages, because like after we had left Lake Tahoe, I was like, okay, you can help me. You can help like motivate me. But what I really want you to do, because I'm like, you're not just gonna like piss me off and make me read these.
You'll make me hate them.
Well, not only that. I was like, this is a really cool opportunity and I think that it's totally cool that like Lexi's involved you in this way, and being able to work towards something, I think is very valuable. Whether like, and I get the gift maybe a little bit over exorbitant, but like if I can get him, because like the other brother, my other younger brother, he does all my editing, and my twin has made some videos with me. So like he's the only one that's kind of like been I don't want to say like left out, but like trying to find something to do.
Right.
And so I was like, what you're gonna do is you're gonna help make the tests. Like you know so much about Harry Potter, you'll make the tests, and then me and my brother, me and our your brother, too many brothers, me and my twin will get on, and he'll give me the test. Because he's got the backup. He'll know if I'm right? So the idea is like the youngest brother will make the test.
Right.
My twin will give me the test, and the answers I'll give, he'll know if they're right or wrong. So there's simpatico. I've been trying to use that word for the last like 2 minutes. But
I don't even think you used it right.
I don't think so either. But I nailed it. Anyways. So I got all this kind of working piece together.
Right.
But you start sending me text messages. It's like, I'm finished with the book. Have you started reading yet? Like, if you don't like, it was like a deadline for him. He was like, if you don't start reading, I don't know what to make like the test on. It was like all these intricate, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I can't get enough of this. And then so he makes the first test, and that's what happened. So me and I know I'm terrible at this. So me and my twin I had finished book 3 by this point, and me and my twin had made one of the videos.
Okay.
And so he was going to help make the test for book 4. So I it's only been 3 months and I'm on book 5. So clearly I'm moving and grooving.
Good.
Or at least trying to, because it's been fun. We make these videos.
I want to go through these tests, man. I want to take them. I want to see what I can remember.
So he builds the test, and then he watches my first video. And he calls me up, and verbatim, he basically goes, so I watched your first one. It was hilarious. I really enjoyed it. But the 10 questions I made for you are so impossible after watching that. I know for a fact you would get none of them right. And I'm sitting here on the phone going, okay. So he goes, don't worry. I fixed this. I took it upon myself. And I'm like, clearly. He goes, I have made easier questions, but there is now 25. And I'm like, what? So instead of 10 impossible questions, there are now 25 semi-impossible questions. Like, you really outdid yourself on the questioning there.
Did you take the test?
So I told him for multiple days to send it over to my twin, because we were preparing to shoot the episode. Right. And then the day comes and I get my brother on the phone and I'm like, hey, you know what's going on with, the guy who's trying to make me read all these books so he can get an Apple Watch? I don't even know if I'm getting an Apple Watch anymore. But anyway, and my twin goes, no, he never sent them. So we had to do another one. So all that muster and bluster and nothing. So book 5, I'm really hoping for a good...
You still don't have a test?
He's building it right now, and I'm still on book 5. So we'll see. He should have book 5 done, and at this point, I'll just wait till my twin actually gets the questions. I thought it was all done. I told him for days, like, send them as soon as you can. I will be filming on this day. And then we get to the day, I'm like, you've got the questions, right? He told me he texted you them. My brother checked his phone. He goes, I got squat. And I'm like, well, just like the last one, you're going to have to guess. And he's like, and I have to come up with questions? This is really turning out negatively for me. But it's funny because both times you can see it, like I've called him like he's just waking up. Like, and he's just like, who is Hermione? Oh, damn it. Who is? But... So those are... I don't know.
Who is Hermione?
Granger. Dude, at one point I answered...
Does that explain anything about who she is?
At one point I answered a question. He asked me a question and I go, gargoyles. And he's like, there are no gargoyles in Harry Potter. Like, but, it was the whole... oh, damn. when at the end, when McGonagall like summons like and they're not gargoyles, they're statues, but that's how I got there. Just in case for those
You've
of you
seen
who
all the movies, I'm assuming.
Yes, I've seen all the movies. What I've been doing is I read the book, I watch the movie, go, wow, there's a lot of differences, and then I and then I do the film, because the film thing in part is fun, and it's content, and the other thing too is like I can go back and go, no, clearly, like I do not get all of them right. Hello. In fact, on the last one, I watched it through just recently, and I was like, this looks like a D to me. The only part that saves me is my brother at some points go, hey man, you know more than you think you know, and I'm like, I hope so, because this is my proof this is my proof right here. So
just imagine you answering something, they're going like, next question. You know, like
many times
they're not even showing you what their look on their face is like. Wow, that was so wrong. We can't even believe how wrong it was.
It's unfortunate that I should find a way to like do a Zoom call and record that, because what I've been doing is just calling him, and so it's just this audio that you hear of my brother. But you can almost imagine that even the answers I give and the pauses, like even with everything, he's just kind of like, what? No. Like on the last one, I think one of the questions he asked me was like, what does the twins give Dudley? And I was like, what do the twins don't give anything to Dudley? Like they don't even meet. And I'm like, oh, they do meet. But I don't know what they give them. So, and then I go, wow, first question out of the gates, I'm really nailing like this.
I would never remember that.
I mean, they
do you remember what they gave him?
It was a piece of candy or something that was there, or something like that.
From their shop.
Yeah, that they're building. Who knows? So that's going swimmingly. But yes, so we backtracked.
That's a hard question, actually.
To hair, they have been some moderately. I mean, at least to me, like, and that's the other thing that, and I have to remember while I make it, it's like, I've only read it like once. Like it's not like I'm trying to like, and it's taking me 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm doing other things, because that's kind of been the other thing too. Is like now that I am reading the books and going through, I'm also like, oh my goodness, like, and I know this is gonna be like a dumb thing to say, but like, reading is fun. I've kind of like refound like, and so in my head I've been thinking like, oh, if I can read this book, like now that I finished Harry Potter and contractually have done my bit and have continued to go forward, and clearly I'm continuing, I can now read other books. And so I've started reading other books, other things that I take interest in that really are not like science fiction or stories. I wish they were, but they're more like there's some of them motivational. I tried reading a book on astrophysics. Don't know why. Neil deGrasse Tyson, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. I figured, I'm in a hurry. I'm that's the whole point of the book. I mean, he even says like it's.
I'm in a hurry.
Like, I'm not. So I've read that. I've read chapter 1 10 times. I still don't get it. I mean, but I'm still trying. It's fascinating, but so I'm reading. I'm getting through it. Book 5. I'm 10 chapters in, I want to say. Haven't been reading as much as I should, for sure. Especially with like the Grand Canyon really took everything from me, and I would give it again. That was by far the greatest adventure trip I have ever been on. I can't wait for.
Yeah, Havasupai was one of my favorite trips ever.
Like the most painful and excruciating I have ever been in, but the overwhelming sense of accomplishment. And by the way, do you want to say anything? I've been going on for a little while.
I've been enjoying the heck out of it. Well, if you're talking about the Grand Canyon, I mean, the one that I did when I was in scouting was to Havasupai, which is no longer there because the floods freaking destroyed it years afterwards. It was a 10-mile hike in. I was 13. 13 years old, and I had a 70-pound pack.
Oh.
Because I had food. It weighed as much as I did at that time.
Yikes.
I was
yeah,
tiny.
That sounds... Anybody who's even been on a hike is going to know, like, that's painful.
It was not good. But I did fine all the way in. We set up the tents just in case, but we slept outside. We had to sleep right on the bank of the river. If you walked up...
where was it?
Havasu Falls and Mooney Falls. Do you remember where those are?
Mm-mm.
No? I'm not gonna be able to remember where, because again, this was
somewhere in California.
No. This is Grand Canyon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I said Grand Canyon, didn't I?
You said, speaking of the Grand Canyon, or you said, before you get to the Grand Canyon, let me tell you about this, and I thought you were referring to somewhere
no. You were talking about the Grand Canyon.
So you've backpacked a piece of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. At 13. And I was tiny with 70 pounds of stuff, because I had to bring food and the tent and
that's
clothes and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Because
we stayed there a whole week. So
that makes sense.
I had to bring in food for a week.
Yeah.
You know?
And the water, and there's a lot of, like, you really have to be perfect. I was prepared. I was as prepared as, anybody could have been or should have been. I should have been way more prepared for sure. But
yeah, considering you're an Eagle Scout like I am, yeah, you should have been.
and unfortunately, that was kind of my crutch, because, like, everybody was kind of like, "Oh, did you get shoes? Did you get this?" And I'm like, "I know what I'm doing." And then, I tried breaking in the shoes 2 days before we left.
No.
Oh yeah. I got these shoes, and
dude, you need shoes that you've used like for 3 years to do backpacking into the Grand Canyon.
Before I even got to the Grand Canyon, like, when we pulled up to the Grand Canyon, we got out of the car and just started walking around the rim. I was like, ow, 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 ow. That big of a blister. Like, before we had even started hiking anything, I had already had, like, a big quarter-sized blister on one of my feet. And it was this... And the next day, we walked for 13 miles.
Yeah. Dude, when we got... I had 1, 2, 3... I maybe had like roughly 4 or 5 blisters on each foot by the time we got in, right? But here's the crazy thing. Not one burst while we were getting down there, thank God. Mm-hmm. That would have been fucking terrible. That would have been so terrible. And I had managed to bring enough moleskin.
I love moleskin.
So I brought moleskin, and I brought the O bandages.
Oh, yeah.
So where you could put that around. Saved me hugely, right?
Nothing
so had a ton of those. So I managed to get down, and we get down into there and everything like that. Immediately, we all go into our swim trunks, because, like I said, we're right on the river, and we're in a spot where it's easy to walk through and wade through and just enjoy. There's even a table that's out in the water that someone took and put out there, so you could sit and you could eat out in the lake.
That's cool.
Which was really cool. Or not the lake, but the river. And so, but I take all my shoes off and everything like that. I take my socks off. I see, all the blisters all over my feet. I'm going like, this sucks. And I'm going like, I shouldn't walk into the water. But I did. I walked into the water, and the crazy thing, dude, as I'm walking through the water, because you're walking through the river polished stones and everything like that, right? All my blisters burst. I had no clue.
Oof. Well, it was.
I had no. Water's cold. Water's very cold, but in a very refreshing way, because you're hiking 10 miles in 100-degree weather, and it's humid as heck inside the Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
especially where we're doing, because we're right by the river. Super humid
Grand
right there.
Created its like own like microclimate.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's crazy.
So we get in there. All my blisters are bursting inside the river, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if for some reason the river was super clean or whatever. It cleaned all my blisters, and I had no pain the rest of the week.
Wow.
From my blisters. Wow. After that, I blew my mind. I was like, I told everyone, I was like, anyone got blisters? Yeah. I was like, go into the river.
Wow.
It cleans them. I don't know why, but it does. But it was the coolest freaking trip, man. It was amazing. I was so pissed that we did this 20-mile day hike. I was so infuriated by this. One of the parents, she said that she, this hike to the actual Colorado River, where the river that we were on leads into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think we were in the main basin of the Grand Canyon. I think we were in one of the cutoffs. But she goes, yeah, we can actually hike all the way down to the Colorado River and hike all the way back. And I'm going like, I don't want to fucking do that. I'm like, I want to enjoy being here for a week. We just hiked 10 miles. Why are we doing another 20? So we ended up going, and I was furious. But we made it down there, and what was actually really cool was the water was so clear. You're able to see.
It's crazy.
Beautiful. It's so beautiful.
And see, I mean, that's kind of the other part of it too. Like, and even though it was 20 miles and you didn't want to do it, like, on the one hand, like, and maybe you felt different, but it's like, wow, I can't believe I did that. And two,
by the end of it, I was still pissed.
Yeah,
I was still pissed, but I mean, I wasn't happy, but I felt accomplished. But I wasn't happy about it.
Oh man.
Unfortunately, it wasn't one of those things where like you begrudgingly do something. Mm-hmm. By the end, you're proud of yourself. Yeah. Wasn't necessarily proud of this thing. I was just kind of angry because she said it was relatively flat, and by the end of it, I'm going like flat like fucking Pamela Anderson. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, that was not flat. That was this. Half the time there didn't seem to be a trail, and I'm going like, where the fuck are we going?
Yeah, it is absolutely. It was by far the coolest thing that I.
Amazing.
The great and that's the other part of it. Like, you're in pain, you're dying. Like, I had multiple migraines almost every day.
I'm amazed that you didn't die doing this thing.
The people I was.
You say that. I mean, there's a reason we watch The Old Guard now.
the people we were with didn't know how I was gonna. But the funny thing with them too is like, and even like I would love to say it was a nickname, and by some standards it was. They started calling me Smiley because, like, look, one of the things is like I am hiking. Like, I do understand, like, there are dangers involved. Like, you can't just like go, oh, I'm fine, when you have a migraine, you probably have heat exhaustion, your feet are all blistered up.
You would
like,
need to stop for a little bit.
Well, and it's not like, well, the other thing too is like, I'm not going to keep that from the people I'm with, right? Like, I'm going to let them know, like, even though it was very daunting to tell your girlfriend's dad and, brother that, like, you're in pain, or that, you're like, because I'm trying to impress these guys. Like, this is the first, like, this is, and here's the really cool thing about this trip, at least for me, and maybe that's why, like, I is like, this is their trip. This is the father and son trip that they have gone on for the last like decade. They go every year.
Father son.
Even regardless of all that, just the fact that like
this is something they do every year.
This is something they do every year.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's something that has given them something to do, because like her dad worked at an airline up in like the towers, and very high stress, many hours, you don't get a lot of time when you work that kind of job. So those trips really meant the world to them, and the fact that they invited me to go and take part of that, like, huge. was very huge and humbling, and her dad had said, like, I'm sorry it's taken so many years, 5 years for us, and I was like, I would have waited another 5. Especially for what the experience that I had, because honestly, I can't like shred, like, my head was killing me. Both of my feet wound up having blisters. Every step was the most excruciating, especially towards the end of each hike. Like, I just, even the everything was painful. But like, I returned.
Also, the fact that you hadn't been hiking in how long?
Well, okay, so I mean, I started. I luckily, and I don't want to give any credit to the pandemic or anything, but luckily the pandemic forced me to kind of get back on a workout routine. Mm-hmm. One of the things that really I saw early on was like, I got to start exercising. I got to start taking vitamins. Like, regardless of, I still might get sick, but I need to start taking. It was a big wake up call. I was like, I need to start getting becoming way more healthier.
Right.
So I started working out a bunch and taking vitamins and trying to eat, semi-healthier and cut out, some things out of my diet as much as I could. Or I'm not a big fan of cutting things out just as much as like not doing them as much. But so that was a huge help. And but then like when I really found out about the Grand Canyon, which was probably about a month and a half beforehand, I kicked in the high gear. I tried to work out as much as I can.
But you need to like actually do some training hikes.
Oh yeah, so I didn't really do training hikes. Would be a huge stretch of the imagination because what happened was, I was working out, I was getting all the gear together, I was doing day-to-day stuff, whatever, and by the time the trip came, I was like, oh snap, I haven't broken in these shoes, I haven't really gone on any like hikes.
You know what you should have done? You should have talked to me because I started doing hiking down in the trails, right? And what we could have done is we could have filled backpacks, and we could have done my 10K route.
And we should, because what I did was, like I had mentioned beforehand, Lexi had bought me a GoPro, which, so it was not a birthday, she just bought me, and everybody knows like, or at least in my perspective, whatever, GoPros are, I know, I'm trying to talk too many things, but GoPros, like, they're expensive. They're big. They're when I first got into like filming and everything, that was the first camera I wanted.
Right.
Because you could take it anywhere. It had really good quality. I really liked all the standards that GoPro had. But they're like a couple $100, and
depending on the one you get.
Depending on the one you get, but my girlfriend, rightfully so, was like, "You're just starting. Like, you don't need to buy a $300 camera when this could only last one day. Like, you don't know how far you're going to take this." So I said, you're right. So I didn't get one, and I wasn't planning on it. I was planning on using my phone and taking footage and doing things of that nature, and maybe even hugging along that behemoth.
Hugging along.
I would have been like digging it into the ground as a canoe paddle if I could have. Which, by the way, I had to get a hiking stick, and that saved my life. I like the hiking pole. Like, honestly, like, there were some parts of the trail where I was walking around with it, and they had told me early on, they're like, pick a song. Like, when things start to get tough, like, start singing a song in your head. And I'm
glad that I've got at least 2 songs literally going in my head at all times.
I'm digging this hiking pole with both hands going, row, row, row your boat. Like, I couldn't think of anything else. I was just like digging into the ground, trying to mosey my way through the trails. But so she buys me a GoPro, and she, of course, she's very, I don't know if she's into surprises, but she's very good at keeping things from me. She has failed on a few occasions, but that's not necessarily my fault. She will bring up, she's not here, but I mean, she will bring up, there's and you've seen it, I have a smokeless grill, like an indoor grill. I live in an apartment, so I have like a smokeless grill.
I have not seen it.
Oh, it's ridiculous. One day I came home and there was a box from Amazon that said Lexi on it, and I was like, what is this? And so I open it up and I go, smokeless grill, what is, like, I thought it was for an event or something she had going on for work. I didn't think it was mine. And she came home and she's like, why is this box open? I don't touch your mail. You don't touch my mail. And I was like, well, it was a weird epiphany, because I was like, you're right. I don't touch. This is the first time I've opened the box. Okay.
You knew it was yours.
But then she was she still could have had me fooled, because honestly, she goes, put it away. Go in the other room. It's not for you. Don't touch it. And I was like, you're absolutely right. I apologize. I won't think about it anymore.
Right.
And so a couple days go by, and she comes home one day and she throws her, this is how I'm remembering it. She throws her bag like down and she goes, go get it. And I'm like, go get what? The grill. It's yours, dummy. And I'm like, really? And she was like, yeah, I wanted to take it to work, because I was just going to say it was a work thing and I was going to keep it at work. And but then I didn't want to do it, so here you go. And I was like, well, that's kind of on, I'm going to go cook something. So she brings home this GoPro, and it was funny because me and the other Chris we both had the same day off, so we were hanging out, and so I was in the other room on a phone call, and there was just Chris sitting on the couch. The door shut. She comes home, and Chris, has been over enough to where Lexi honestly thought that he had a key. So she walks in, and she looks over and goes, "What are you doing in my house?" like by yourself, like, are you here alone? And Chris is, of course, like, sometimes, and I think
he had to screw with you.
Yeah, like, sometimes you take a shot, and so Chris goes, thinking nothing of it, goes, "No, he's not here, it's just me." And so Lexi goes, "Oh my goodness, that's awesome, let me show you what I got." And so so Chris is now going, oh no, like, he's in the other room. And so Lexi's sitting, he's like, "Oh, it's his GoPro." And then Chris is like, "Well, I can't say anything because he come out at any moment." And so then, like, I open up the door and turn the corner, and she goes, and then she said, "Here you go." And then I'm like, and what's worse for me is because, like, I mean, not worse for me, I got the GoPro, but I'm sitting there with I'm looking at and I'm like, I've always, and this is and it's like I'm like freaking out in my head, but also my buddy's here. I'm not gonna cry in front of my buddy, which I really would. Like, it was the first, I was like, this is, and Lexi's going, do you like it? Like, because of course, like, from that, what would you, like, what, you just give somebody a gift and they're like, you know, I don't know what to do. Even, like, she comes up to me and she's like, you like the camera, right? And I'm like, I like the camera very much. I kind of wish Chris wasn't here. I like the camera. Trying to be all like, so I really enjoy the camera.
Here I'd be in tears.
Yeah. Turn away. Hold it back. So
I'll be right back.
It's beautiful. Oh my! The thing is beautiful. It has like, it has voice commands. Oh god. So like I'm in the Grand Canyon going, GoPro, take a photo. We're like 2 miles in, and this hiker's like, excuse me. He was like, hold on, are you taking photos? Are you talking to your camera? And I'm like, yeah, it's got voice commands. And he's like, oh. Because at first, like, you should have seen him looking at me when I'm like, GoPro, take a photo. GoPro, take a photo. He's like, this guy's lost his mind.
How long have you been here?
Yeah. Do you need water? Are you okay? No, even like her dad too. Like, of course, like they caught on early on that they had voice activation and things like that, and because the whole time they're like, hey, if we need to stop and take photos, because I forget because I'm being her dad right now, in case you didn't know. Like, he kept saying, like, hey, if you need to stop and take photos, feel free, because, like, unlike you, like, we have 10,000 photos. Like, we don't, like, he kept forgetting that, like, you know, I've been to the Grand Canyon. Right. I may have even walked, but I've never been, that was my first time in the Grand, like, we did this trail called the Bright Angel Trail, which is a big popular trail. It's got multiple stops, multiple water breaks. And you walk down to Indian Gardens, which is about 5 miles in, and then you hike another 1.5 miles out to Plateau Point, where you can see. I'll show it to you here in a couple minutes once we wrap up. And to everybody else at home, we'll see it later. It's just a fantastic, just a phenomenal view. But we're sitting down there, and you know, I'm filming and everything, and life's a box of chocolates, and I'm dying and you know, it's fun. And going back to like what I was saying earlier, like every time I turned the corner, they'd look back, and her dad would just go like, what the hell are you smiling at? Like, 5 minutes ago you just said you were in the most pain you could possibly imagine, but here you are. And don't get me wrong, you look horrible. Which is why I ask again, why are you smiling? You look in pain. And I'm like, but I mean, and then, ow. And then, but then, you know, it was like this really weird, like, you're in a lot of pain.
You were getting a hiker's high, essentially.
Oh, 1,000%. Because it was like, again, like, you're like, my head was killing me. My feet were killing me. I was taking breaks every 5 minutes, it felt like. But then you would look up and you would just listen and, like, it would be...
Immediately
it would just
tranquil.
Be peaceful. Yeah. And the most quiet you'd ever seen. And the most, like, even though you're looking at the same thing, no movie, no television, nothing can compare to that awe. And it was the same, like, after reaching the top and wanting to just fall and die, which at the very last day, when we had walked out, because we took from our campsite, we hiked out 10 miles, 5 miles basically to get to Indian Gardens and then kind of do the same hike, which was good when I did that first day hike because I kind of knew what I was looking at on the last day. When I left the last day, I was so utterly, and unfortunately I have no footage of this because I couldn't even film. I couldn't do it. Like, I had to focus so much on putting one foot in front of the other that by the time I walked out, no food, and that was our other downfalls. We did not bring enough food down there. We get down to our campsite.
How many days were you guys there?
Well, we were there for 4 days, but we only went one night down in the canyon. The other night, like at the end of the 13-mile hike, we went and got the best barbecue. Everything was the best. I mean, even when we got down in
especially when you're on the verge of death.
Oh,
any food is going to taste like heaven sent stuff.
The campground had like this cantina where you could buy lemonade, and look, I will tell anybody that it was probably like, you know, regular, just pour lemonade, pour powder and sugar into a bowl of water with some ice cubes. But that was the most delicious cup of lemonade I will ever have on my... Like, after waking... Hey, there's a TV joke! Okay.
That was a good line.
Such a good line. After walking all that, like, it was just so good. So, like, yeah, so afterwards, like, we would have like a nice dinner, and then we would stay in a hotel room. Like, it was a good
interesting
balance between like hiking and being in pain to also like nice and relaxing. So we spent like the first like 2 days in the hotel, and then on the last 2 nights we walked down, spent the night, and walked out. And when we walked out, we woke up at like 6 a.m. We hiked out 10 miles, and we got in the car and drove 10 hours back to California. I didn't drive. Clearly, I didn't do anything.
You all would be dead if you drove.
Well, her brother drove. I don't know how he did it. He was drinking bourbon 5 miles. Like, we had 5 miles to go. His knee was in so much pain. He grabbed the bourbon we had for like the campground and was drinking bourbon. He was like, something's got to numb the pain. So he's just like trying to like drink it away. Oh, it worked. He made it out and then drove home perfectly. But I get out of the canyon. I got my hiking pole, my backpack on full of gear. I'm completely out of water, just dying of everything. And we start walking. I forget we have to walk to the car. I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm done. Damn it. So, and I start walking, and I'm so tired. I'm dragging the hiking pole. Like, I'm not even using it. And I'm just like, I look so bad. And this is how I knew I looked so bad. Everybody on the top of Grand, everybody I walked by, everybody looked at me, looked back, and then looked back and went, "Are you okay?" Like, it wasn't like one of those things where you're like, he's got it. He's, you know, you see that person, he's fine. Everybody who saw me was like, "Are you good? You're dragging your pole." I mean, that's first clue is you should be using it, especially with the way you look. You look miserable. That few things out of the way, you look horrible, and you're dragging the one thing that you could be using to help you walk. And I'm like, I was in such a fugue state. I'm like, sure, whatever, man. Like, we get back to the car, and they're like, all right, yeah, let's go get burgers. I'm like, No, I don't even. I'm not getting a burger. I don't want a burger. You guys go get your. They brought me a burger and it was delicious. But I was like, they're like, hey, we brought you a burger and fries. Oh my god, it was the best.
From where?
They had from the lodge inside like the Grand Canyon. Oh, it was so good, so good. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely the most adventurous trip that I've ever been on, and it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to like go again. So yeah, man, the Grand Canyon. I don't know. I'm going to Sedona in a few weeks.
Oh, Sedona's beautiful.
And hopefully I'll do like some hiking and some things around there. But I went to before the Grand Canyon. I basically was like, okay, I need to use the GoPro and figure out how this thing works, and I also should like hike. So I started, because the other thing too is all of the gear that I bought was brand new. So brand new that when I got to the bottom of the canyon, like I was ripping off the plastic for the tent. Like I never even put it. I was just like, I had forgot. I got down. And I was like, oh yeah, all of this. I'm like, why is there so much wrapping and plastic? And I'm like, oh yeah, because all of this is brand new. I've never opened it before. Like I'm like, it's a one-man tent, and it looks like like an alien vessel. It just looks like a tube.
Yeah,
and it's got like two round, just like poles that go on either end. Nothing tying the thing in the middle. Yeah. So like the middle is like just looks like a tunnel, and it's like waving back and we're staring at it, going, what's the support? Like what's the support? Any of this? Like what is it like? Cause I like.
Please tell me you figured it out.
So here's what. So they had like a 2-man tent that are like they put together and.
Dude, I had to hike a 6-man tent down.
that would have been worse. But I don't know what's worse than that, or having a 6-man tent, or being a one person staring at a 1-person tent, not knowing how to put it together. Because. I mean,
again, I didn't even sleep in the tent. There was no point in sleeping in the tent.
Again, like I mean, this was at the beginning of this month, so it didn't get hotter than 80 degrees. Down in the canyon, it was like 90, but by the time the sun went away, it cooled off.
Well, and you're in shade for the majority of the time.
Well, that was the other thing.
In the Grand Canyon, the majority.
We get down. Well, to get down to the Grand Canyon, we took what's called the South Kaibab, which is 7 miles of no shade and just sun. It is the most beautiful trail I've ever been on, but I have never felt more in pain walking. I thought, this is the easiest day. It's 7 miles downhill. This is easy. Now, granted, granted, I know what you're going to say. Because that 5 miles down the first day, like even though it was a bunch of switchbacks, it was still like...
Switchbacks are terrible.
I'm like, downhill sucks. Downhill sucks. But I was like... It's only 7 miles. Because, like, look, the first day was 13, 6.5 down, 6.5 up. That sucks. You get equal down, equal up. The second day was 7 miles straight downhill, where we got to rest at a campsite for the rest of the day, eat dinner, relax, have a delicious lemonade, wake up in the morning, and then take a semi-flat trail, and then right back to... But that was 10 miles. So I'm thinking 7 is the least, and it's all downhill. I got this. Early in the morning, we'll beat most of the sun. Everything will be kosher. Nothing. It all was painful. I took it. The other thing, too, that if I wasn't smiling, I was asleep. Every time there was an opportunity for me to nap, I was passed out. We get down to like at any point.
Oh my God.
Every time we took a lunch break, every time we took a break, we get to the car, nothing. It didn't matter. I was like, at the end of the trip, like that was the one thing her brother said was like, it was either the smiling or the mild narcolepsy that you had that was really concerning. Because you just kept falling asleep. Anytime you weren't needed to do any energy, you just were, makes asleep. He's passed out again. He's good. So, because when we got down to the campsite, I was done. I didn't care about anybody or no one. And that was the other thing. Her brother kept telling me multiple times, the majority of the campsites have no shade. So it doesn't matter. Even when you get to the bottom, like unless you get there early enough, the good campsites get taken. And that's just the way it goes. So I'm like, we gotta get down there. We gotta get down there. We gotta get down there. We get down there, and everyone's like, ooh, let's look at the river. I'm like, no, let's get to the campsite. So we get to the campsite, and like, you know, they start communicating, and they're not arguing, but they start communicating on, like, they're like, oh, wait, because the dad's like, oh, I think, like, where we need to be is over here, and her brother was like, no, we are right where, like, we passed what you're talking about, like, we are right where we need to be. So they're chatting, right? And we're standing next to the best campsite with shade, like, more shade than I have ever seen, and I'm like, why are we, somebody could walk right to our, like, and so they're just bickering around.
Why didn't you just walk to it?
I did. They're talking, they're like, we can't, and I'm like, you guys figure this out. I'm going to go sit right there and die. And when you guys have figured it out, I will still be there. So I went, laid my stuff down, started laying down, just, again, fell right asleep. They start walking back up a fourth the trail, and they come back to me like 20 minutes later, and they're like, yep, this is good. I'm like, told you. I wasn't leaving. I didn't. But then
I didn't care where they went. I was staying here.
Then we start putting like the campsite together, and they have a 2-man tent. They put it together in like under 5 minutes. And at one point, I'm sitting on the bench. Everything's laid out, my tent. I'm just like, I got nothing. These things are round. I don't see anything that could be round. I don't. And like, they're done, and they come over, and they're like, you need some help putting together this 1-man tent? I'm like, oh, don't say yes. Don't say yes. I need help. Help me with this, please, with this tent. So,
oh man,
the most, but again, you reach the top and the overwhelming sense of accomplishment, and honestly, like, it's one of those things where, like, anything to make you realize how small you really are, I think is one of the most powerful things you could ever do. Because
you want to hear something that'll make you feel even smaller?
Yes.
Take every single human being on the planet, and you wouldn't even fill like maybe 1/20th of the Grand Canyon.
There's
not even that. You could pile them in a thing to reach the top, and it would just be in that one spot. And it would just be a pyramid to the top of 7.5 billion people.
Yeah, I mean, well, and one of the things, I don't think it was in Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, but Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about it. I think because he does a show called Cosmos,
right?
And
Cosmos was good.
He put the entire like any whether you and I'm not sure if I believe in it. Who knows? I believe in it. The Big Bang. He goes from the Big Bang to now, right?
Oh, how long we've existed?
Yeah, 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Because he goes like basing that off of the big from the Big Bang till now, which has been like trillions of years or whatever. You put that
12 billion years, 13 billion years.
He put that in one calendar year, January to February. And he goes, you see December? He goes
January to December.
January to December, thank you.
January to February.
January to February. 1 month. 1 year, 1 calendar year, and 1 month. He goes, see this? We make up, see this day? 3 seconds. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, but you're just like standing over the Grand Canyon and like, the amount you don't know, like you think library, I had this thought multiple times, I've continued to have it. You think libraries are quiet? That's quiet. Like they're like libraries are peaceful. Don't get me wrong. Scary actually to me because nothing should be that silent. It's like something maybe it's man-made and that's why but there's that unspoken. There's no other place. I mean, there's maybe a few like churches and places like that do have those like unspoken rules of silence. But there's somebody usually talking in those places, right? Like it's not like there's
some type of ambiance.
There's some sort of ambiance, but like true like peace. There's a difference between silence and peace.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the amount of just like
you can go crazy in absolute silence.
Yeah, and
silence.
I could look at the Grand Canyon with nobody around for forever. It feels like it. I've never. It was really a truly awe-inspiring experience. One thing to look at it when you're just at the top. It's another thing once you've walked down and walked back out,
and then
looked at it.
It doesn't look real.
It doesn't look real, and like honestly, I didn't even think about the hike or the tremendous, to me, journey that I had just been on.
Right.
It was just this. It was just this utter like clarifying. It was just clarity. There was for the first time in a long time. It's that moment where you're just truly living in the moment. Past doesn't matter. Future doesn't matter. Who you are doesn't matter.
Right.
It's just you are just purely experiencing this existing moment right then and there. Everything else just is quiet, and you're just experiencing a moment, which really, to be honest, I mean, for me, is what life should be about. It should be about experiencing the moment you're in right now. It has nothing to do with tomorrow and the future is going to come, but no matter how well you plan for it, it'll still throw you a curveball. So what only matters is right now, right? And those moments, and Grand Canyon for sure is one of those places where you can get it and just go, even if you don't hike it, you can just go and look there and just give it a minute and just go, wow,
yeah.
I mean, and then because you can start to think about like how the Grand Canyon was. There was a documentary that I watched on Disney Plus that they hiked basically the whole thing, and it was really their footage is like way crazy, and because you see the canyon, it's so much bigger than even what you get to see. I mean, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Let's watch. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Nothing was filmed.
Oh God, please no. Yes, okay, good.